my question to Ronen, and I asked him earlier, we were sitting around just before they started shooting. I says, buddy, you got 100 trucks in your fleet here. And he goes, yeah. He says, can you drive one? And his answer is?
My answer is no, I can't drive one.
First thing he says, I've actually asked him, could you drive my truck? He goes, is it an automatic? And I went, no. He goes, no, I can't drive it. I said, can you drive one of your own trucks? And?
No, I can't. So I guess for those of you that leave the comments about office desk boy, I think you're right. I am more behind the office, and desk boy, I guess that's a pretty cool nickname to have.
I'm taking him out. He's going out. He's going to learn to drive.
Hey guys, Ronen here, and Brian's here with me today.
How you doing, boys?
We are actually doing a really interesting topic today. We're going to be talking from a managerial perspective and a driver's perspective of why I think older trucks are not as good as the newer trucks. And Brian is going to take the standpoint, which he obviously believes, that older trucks are much better than newer trucks. So let's get started.
The first question I want to ask you is, with 100 trucks running, you've got 100 trucks that are all emission trucks. They're all new generation trucks. There's nothing that's pre-emission. The percentage of your costs for your emissions, problems, and breakdown time, how does that compare to, say, somebody like me that drives a 1996 or a 1997 Kenworth? I have 0 emissions. I have no emissions whatsoever on that truck. It's a 100% pre-emission truck. It's a 60 series Detroit engine, so it's a base model engine. There's no electronics, there's no garbage, no crap. How do you run a fleet like that and absorb the cost of all of the emissions problems, electrical problems, sensor problems, and the percentage? What percentage of your trucks are running and having problems?
When we talk about years, so years 14s, 15s, and 16s, like I've seen these problems disappear over the years. So years 14, 15, and 16, I mean, you saw a lot more emission problems, a lot more sensor problems than you do with right now with the 2019s, 20s, 21s, even with the new ones that came in, the 22s, you do not have emission problems. You do not have nearly as many sensor problems. Now,
nearly as many, but you still got them.
So we actually converted our fleet fully into the Cascadias because we saw that threefolds over, the Volvos had more problems with sensors than the Cascadias do. So before we used to have a mix of our fleet, I would say 60-70% Cascadias and 30% Volvos. Now we went with fully 100%, they're all Cascadias. Moving forward, we're only buying Cascadias because of that reason. But when it comes to the emissions, I mean, I don't hear problems about emissions at all. I know that at 400,000 miles, we changed the filters. And then at 800,000 miles, we buy a new filter, but we don't have problems nearly as many as we had back in 12, 13, and 14. Those years, yes, when they introduced it, there was a ton of problems with the emissions. I feel like the older generation drivers, so I would say anybody probably 50, 55 plus, they like their older trucks. It's a lot like today with technology. I mean, we change technology, literally we change our cell phones every 2 years. Our TVs, they only last for 3 or 4 years. Things are not built and made to last anymore. You can either hop on the train and accept that that's the new reality, or you can, which what older generation drivers do, they just want their older trucks. But I can assure you that the newer trucks, and I don't work for FREIGHTLINER, I don't work for VOLVO, the newer trucks, if we dissect the amount of money over an 8-year span, and I really think that 7-8 years is all a truck has these days in them. I think 8 years would be the max. And just like we change our cell phones, just like we change our TVs, just like we change electronics, they're not built to last anymore. Trucks are built the exact same way. Now you can take advantage of the fuel consumption that they have, the comparison between old trucks and new trucks, but I can guarantee you over an 8-year period, driving a brand new truck, even with the lease payment, even with selling the truck after 8 years, getting paid obviously the same, I would still make more money than somebody driving an older unit.
And this is where I have to say, here we are in 2021, and realistically, whereas if you bought a brand new Freightliner right now in 2021, in 2029, that truck is a piece of garbage. In 2029, correct, if I maintain this truck that's already 25 years old, my truck will still be running. And the 8 years between here and there, I promise you, between repair, just in repairs, we won't talk about the fuel because the fuel is another thing, and I'll talk about that in a second. But just between the repairs, I can rebuild my motor in my truck. Total rebuild for what it would cost you to replace your turbo, an EGR cooler, a DPF filter. Those three alone, and I guarantee you in the span of your eight years, you're gonna replace each of those at least once. Fuel is a different item. Guys like me buy these trucks because yes, am I gonna turn 8.5 miles per gallon out of a 60 series Detroit? Hell no, I'm not. But I don't have a truck payment.
But you understand that you're spending that truck payment on your fuel. So
that's what I'm saying. It counters. So what you're saying is, okay, I've got a truck payment. I've got a truck that's getting 8.1 miles per gallon. I'm going to have it for, the life of the truck is going to be 8 years. Now it's not going to run 8.5 miles per gallon for 8 years. That's just not going to happen. It'll start to come down. Well, you have a truck payment of, let's just say, let's say $2,800 a month, just for round numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say my truck is costing me $2,500 to $2,800 a month more in fuel than yours.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, you've got your truck payment, I've got more fuel, but the take home is still the same. You're taking home the same amount of money. I'm driving an older truck, and the baseline on price for my repairs is less than yours.
So I don't agree with that because you purchased your truck for $60K, right? So $60,000, if you break that over 4 years, you're paying at least about $1,500 a month, where I pay $2,800 a month for my brand new truck. So technically the difference between your truck and my truck is only $1,000 a month in payments.
But most guys my age or that are buying these older trucks like I did, they save their money and they buy and pay cash. Nobody's getting financed on a 25-year-old truck.
Yes,
nobody will. Well, very few companies will finance.
You're right, but for me, I would have taken that $60K and put that into a brand new unit. I would have paid $1,500 a month over the course of 4 years, and then I would have still saved $2,000 a month on fuel on top of that.
Okay, I can understand that, and that's where we kind of differ.
But I have a question for you. What is most important for you when you're driving?
Comfort.
Are you looking for comfort? Are you looking for being chromed out? Are you looking for
Chrome doesn't get you home.
Yes.
Chrome is nice. I've got a super chromed out truck. I didn't put any of it on there. It was all on there when I bought it. In an earlier video, I even said, an old guy looked at my truck one time, and I'd spent thousands way back in the day on chrome. And he looked at me and he said, you know what, son, that's really nice, but chrome don't make you any more money and it don't make you go any faster. And he was right. And chrome is not important. It's nice, it looks good, it's bling, but you don't need it. Me, at my age, and guys, even the younger guys, I think you'd rather be comfortable.
So when we're talking about comfort, you drove a 2014 Volvo.
I did.
You're driving right now your Kenworth, and you also had a brand new Cascadia that you drove for about a week or a week and a half.
I had a Cascadia, for about 10 days.
Can you look into the camera and honestly say which one is the most comfortable from all three of them? Comfort-wise, for you as a driver, which one was most comfortable?
Comfort-wise, for me physically, was the Volvo.
Okay, and which one came in second place?
The Cascadia.
And which one
and I'll be honest, the Cascadia was a very close second. It was very close. It was a comfortable truck. It was spacious. It was roomy. It rode nice. But yeah.
So my follow-up question to that is, for you, if the most important thing is comfort,
I know where you're going.
You just placed your truck third on the list.
I did.
You put the Volvo first. You put the Cascadia second, and then you put your truck third. So if comfort is the most important thing for you,
right? Please
tell the audience, why are you driving the least comfortable truck?
Currently, I'm driving the least. Currently, the truck I'm driving is not the most comfortable. I'll be honest with you. I knew that going in when I bought it. Okay, I had one before, but mind you, I was 20 years younger. Okay, when I had it. And there was a lot of things about it that kind of slipped my mind. And to tell you the truth, honestly, I bought the truck, and I knew by when I bought it and I test drove it and I had it for a couple of days, I knew there was going to be a couple of hiccups for comfort when it come to the comfort. And I knew that. And I thought to myself, I can live with this. Okay. You know what? I can live with this. I've got the truck I want. It's the model I want. It's spec'd the way I want it. It's got the motor. I can live with a couple of without the creature comforts that I had in, say, the Volvo, or even when I had borrowed the Cascadia. And after now I've had it 3 months, something like that, three and a half, 4 months. Physically, I can't. It's just the way the truck is designed and it's set up. I'm finding now that for myself and my body and some of the ailments that I've got, it's not a good fit. Do I love the truck? Yes. Is it still a nice truck? Hell yes. If I didn't have these physical ailments and problems, would I keep it? Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you some more questions?
You knock yourself out.
But you gotta be honest.
I'm being 100% honest.
How often do you change your cell phone?
Every couple of years, like you said.
How often do you change your car?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. I bought Dara, I bought Dara a 2019 Civic, brand new in 19, so she'll probably have that for 3-4 years. And
So if you change your phone every 2 years and you change your car every 4 years, why is it so hard for you to accept?
Because they're garbage.
Why is it so
They're
hard for you?
garbage.
Hold on. Why is it so hard for you to accept the fact that every 7-8 years you change a truck? Why is it so hard to digest?
If they built a phone that would last me 8 years,
There's no such
I'd keep
thing.
it for. You're right, but there's a truck that'll last you 8 years, and it ain't a Freightliner Cascadia.
They're fading out.
It doesn't matter. You build me a phone that'll last me 8 years. You build me a Civic. Well, actually, a Civic will last you 8 years. But you buy me the average car that'll last me 8-9 years. I'll run the thing for 8-9 years.
So why aren't you driving an 87 Mustang or something?
Who says I don't have an 87 Mustang?
You're right. I don't know, but I don't see you driving to work in an 87 Mustang.
Do I look like I drive an 87 Mustang? I want a 63 split window Corvette. That's what I would drive.
So
not
what
an 87.
I don't understand, how come that mindset of wanting things to build, to last forever is not carrying you through with your car?
Until, say, for example, Freightliner, Volvo, and I'm not being prejudiced towards any of them. Freightliner, Western Star, Kenworth, Peterbilt, it doesn't matter. Until they can build a truck now, the way they used to build them then, with all of the fuel efficiencies and the new models and the technology, then you know what? I will be the first one to jump on board with you. I will be the first one in line holding the flag. But they haven't done it yet. Now, I know what you said earlier, they're kind of 14, 15, 16, even the early 17 models were the building years, were the crap years for all of that. And they seem to be coming out of it. I know guys even on our fleet and other fleets that have got 19s, 20s, and they're still in the shop. Emissions, electronics, sensors, all of that stuff. Just because maybe our fleet doesn't suffer a lot of these problems or as many as anybody else doesn't mean they're not still out there, you know? Myself personally, at my stage in my career, am I willing to gamble? And that's what it is for me. It's a gamble. Am I willing to drop $200,000? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I buy it for $175. By the time all in, you're about 200 grand. Am I willing to gamble $200,000 on the fact that I'm going to get a truck that wasn't made on Friday or Monday? It's going to be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday built truck. Not yet. I'm not there yet. I am not there yet. I'm still of the mindset that the older ones, because of the simplicity and the cost factor to fix them. I can fix anything on my truck a lot cheaper than you can fix anything on your truck.
So let's talk a little bit about that. In the last 3 months that you've had this truck, what kind of problems have you ran into?
I bought the truck and it had already had a rebuilt on it. And I did that in a video. The motor was in-framed, the diffs were done, the tranny was done. All within a year, which is perfect, was good. That means it went through the break-in period. I didn't have to go through all of that. So I purchased the truck and I had it, I think, 3 weeks. And I ended up having to do another rebuild on the motor. Luckily for me, the guy that did the original rebuild came good on it.
Okay.
Okay.
What did that cost you?
The bill for that was about 11 grand. I was into it for 3.
Got it. So $3,000.
So $3,000
first month.
But the bill was 11 grand. You can't rebuild a Freightliner DD15 for 11,000 bucks. A DD15 in frame, you're 20 plus thousand bucks, unless you're warranty, right? Yeah. I know for a fact my Volvo, the D13. Now this was on a 14, so I don't know what 21 is going to cost. I know that a 14 cost me 40 grand, 42,000 bucks all in.
Wow.
For a new motor.
So you had to pay $3,000. Anything else you ran into over the course of the last 3 months?
No, not really.
No.
Just, just regular maintenance stuff, oil changes, grease, everything like that. I've lost no time, put it that way. I've lost no time.
No downtime.
No downtime. I've had 0 downtime with this truck so far.
If I was to be able to show you that you can do exactly what you're doing right now and bring home an extra $2,000 a month driving a Cascadia over what you're doing right now. So basically, I flip you into driving a Cascadia. We test it out, and you make $2,000 more every single month. Would you do the switch?
I'd do the experiment. Of course I would. I'd be stupid not to. Yes.
Okay. And if that experiment works to be successful and true, would you consider moving into a Cascadia for good?
I would consider it. But the things that I would have to consider are the things that I fear the most. Yeah, I'll get into a new Cascadia. Everything's great when it's new. But once I get past the 1 year, 2 year mark, you start running low on warranty. You start running out of things like that.
We have a pretty aggressive warranty.
I understand you've got a pretty aggressive warranty. Now that's fine. My fear is all of the sensors, the technology, the computer. It's not that I'm just some dumb redneck that lives out in the country and just, you know, I am very versed on the new technology of the new trucks and how it works, what it costs, and the way of the world. I look at that and I look at it as a fear. Right now in my life, I'm afraid of it.
Follow-up question. You have a couple of friends here at ET, right? That drive.
Oh yeah, I got a couple.
that drive the 2-year-olds and 3-year-old Cascadias.
I do.
Are they experiencing the stuff that you're talking about?
You know what? This is an unfair question because that's a loaded question.
You said your fears are the electronics, and the sensors.
Yes.
Callie's driving a 2018 Cascadia. It came to us in 2017. That's a 4-year-old truck already.
Right.
Is he having the problems that you're afraid of?
He's had emissions problems. He had to have his DPF filter done.
Was it all covered under warranty?
Yes, but he had to fight for it. It wasn't just a nice clean take it in. Freightliner went, hey, yeah, okay, no problem. I know the story of what happened because the poor bugger told me for 2 hours on the phone the other day, asking me, what do you think I should do here? Has that truck had the problems that I fear? Yes, it has. Has he been lucky enough to have the warranty to back him up? Yes, he has. But now on the flip of that, he's lost time at work. Whether I'm paying for it out of my pocket for the repair or I'm paying for it because my wheels aren't turning, one way or the other, I'm paying for it. The truck is down.
Hold on, so it's a 4-year-old truck. Let's get this right. The 4-year-old truck, he was down for how long?
I don't know how many days it was, whatever.
4 days?
4 days.
6 days?
Something like that.
You're telling me that with your truck, you will not be down for 4 to 6 days over a course of 4 years.
Yeah, but this is just one repair. I know that he's had other repairs too.
He has had the normal brakes. He had the normal tires. He has normal shocks after 500,000 miles.
He's had a couple other issues, but they were last year. He hasn't had anything recently. So let's just say he had a couple issues last year and they weren't warranted. He had to pay those.
Correct.
Those came out of his pocket.
Yes.
So he went from say early to mid last year to early to mid this year. So he went, let's say 12, we'll give him 12 months. We'll be gracious here. We'll give him 12 months. He went 12 months without any serious downtime aside from oil changes, tires, regular maintenance. And then he ran into a spot of bad luck here. He had the AC, the filter, a couple other things go, but warranty covered it. Okay. But he still lost downtime. He lost
6 days.
6 days.
My question for you, over the next 24 months, do you think that something can happen with your W900 that you could be down for the exact same amount of time?
In my honest opinion, I won't have the truck for the next 24 months. Okay, but if I had the truck for the next 24 months.
Is it common for an owner operator to be down 6, 7, or 8 days out of a 24 gap? I think it's very common.
Sure, I would say sure. I myself personally, unless it's an on the road breakdown where you're on the highway, you have to call for service or something like that. I tried to get most of my service done, you know, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Most of the shops that I use I don't use big dealerships, I use smaller shops and they will accommodate you generally. So I can get most of my work done over the weekend so I don't lose time.
That's perfect.
Unless it's a big ticket item, of course. You don't replace a motor over a weekend.
So any further questions that you have for me?
Yeah, can I have a raise? No.
In my last video, there was a lot of comments being made that I'm a desk jockey. I only know, what do I know? I only sit behind the desk. He doesn't know anything. You know, he's never been inside a truck. Well, I have been inside. I've never driven a truck. I don't see just one truck. When I look at my analytics, I see 100 trucks, and I see multiple owner operators, and I see who's suffering and who's doing good and who's not doing so good. Usually with the older units, I mean, whether you have a newer Volvo, Kenworth, the newer Kenworths with the Packard engine, they seem to be doing okay. The Volvos seem to be doing okay. The drivers that have the older units, the you know, with the Cat engines, the one that have the older units, the W900s, seem to be losing a lot of money on fuel. And I see the difference between different owner operators and what their take homes are. And that's when, you know, I would just bring it to the driver's attention. Some drivers, they just love their trucks and absolutely not, and they don't care about spending the extra $2,500. And I've done videos even of drivers. Sometimes I tweak up drivers who are in new Cascadias that are not getting good fuel mileage. So sometimes it's the driver, it's not the truck, it's the way that they drive, it's the speed. It's the we did the rich driver versus poor driver with Cali in it, that he took home $2,000 in 15 days while another driver took home $5,000 in 15 days. So sometimes it's not really about the truck, sometimes it could be about the driver. So it's my position where I want to make drivers more successful, doing exactly what they're doing right now, working the same but bringing home more money. And I feel like I could do the same with the drivers who are really stuck on driving old units, but I understand where they're coming from and why they think the way that they do.
Essentially, I'm doing the same thing he is, I'm just doing it on a much, much smaller scale. Ronen is the operations manager for a company that has 100 trucks. Now, essentially, if you take the fact out that I don't have to get my loads and all that, that's all done for me. If you're just talking about the trucking business, not the business of trucking, which is everything else, but the trucking business of what we do, I do the same thing that he does, I just do it on a much smaller scale. So do I agree with him on a lot of the stuff that Ronen has said? Yes, I agree with. All of his numbers are correct when it comes to fuel mileage per, his percentages per miles per fuel mileage, all of that, those numbers stand correct as per the fleet and the trucks that he's running today. Myself, I track all of the same stuff. His is a little more detailed because he cheats and has a computer, and he's got a computer in every single truck that does it all for him. Me, I still do it old school. You know what? I break out a calculator, a pencil, and a piece of paper and an eraser, and I pull the numbers as they're actually happening. I don't have that kind of coin to, have some, computer do it for me. But I can't say in term that I think differently than he does, okay? Do I think differently in term about the piece of equipment that I drive as compared to what ET owns or what he operates? Yes. The schematics and the analytics and the business behind it, do I disagree with him? No. I agree with a lot of what he says. He's right about the new trucks, the miles and what they do and the miles that they get and the percentage in their fuel cost. I agree with that. How he goes about and gets his money and how I go about and get my money at the end of the day are two different ways of thinking. I'm stuck in a sense of when the technology shows me that it'll do what it's doing, what my truck does for me now, I'll jump on board. Right now, it doesn't. Who knows, 2022, Freightliner, Cascadia, or Kenworth could come out with they've got that beautiful W990. They could come out and be 100% done and have it all figured out. And you know what, as I said earlier, I'll be standing at the front of the line holding the flag and I'll be the first one on board to drive one of their trucks. Because all the analytics, God, that's a rough word. That's like me trying to say I still can't. Subscription. Analytics, because all the analytics fall in his favor, and they do, and I got no problem. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take one of your Cascadias, one of the newest ones possible. I'm gonna run it for 90 days. And I'm actually gonna run, I'm a flatbed driver, so I'm gonna be pulling a roll tight with it. My mileage is gonna be a little bit off than what a van driver is, because the roll tights don't quite they're still over 8 miles per gallon, but I'm gonna run it for 90 days. And I'm gonna go wherever they send me, just like I do now. If it's hills, fine. If it's flat, fine. If it's whatever. I will run that truck for 90 days. And in 90 days, we're gonna come back and we're gonna look at, first of all, what the computer said. And then I'm gonna give you my assessment from the driver or as an owner operator. I will give you my 100% honest opinion and assessment of what I think the truck did, how it worked, how it functioned, how comfortable it was, and how much money or how much more money I would have made driving that truck if it was mine and I was just driving that truck as opposed to what I'm driving with the W9 now. And I'll even go back so far as to go, I'll pull the numbers because I've got them. I'll pull all the numbers for the last, I'll have to go 120 days. The last 120 days when I had the Volvo. Okay, so I'll give you all the...
So we'll do a comparison. We'll do the Volvo.
14 Volvo
versus the
97 W9
versus a new Cascadia.
It's not a versus. It's not a comparison because the generations are 3 generations of trucks.
Yeah.
But I will give you an honest assessment on what this Freightliner is doing and give you, say, $1 per comfort assessment compared to the W9 and $1 per comfort assessment on the Volvo to what the Freightliner gives me. And if it comes out, and you can hold me to this, if it comes out that the Freightliner is a superior truck in all aspects, I'll tell you. I got no problem. I got no skin in this game. It's all on him.
Perfect. Okay, great. That's all I want is for you to give it a chance
right.
and for you to give your honest opinion after 90 days. I think that's a fair deal.
Okay.
All right?
Good deal. I'll do it. I'm up for it.
Awesome. Okay, guys, stay tuned.